I thought I would do a very quick tutorial again on soap scrapers, but this time we are going to do soap scrapers that are made with cardboard, bit of packing tape, and they are best suited for very simple scrapers, I think, or something that you kind of are just doing very quickly. So what you'll see we've got here is just some cardboard. Now this is cardboard from a shoebox. It's slightly thinner, and I prefer it thin, but you could use Amazon cardboard or anything like that. A pair of scissors, I've got a cutting board here, a ruler, some clear packing tape, but you could use normal tape, but I prefer the packing tape because it's slightly wider and it just means we can do a little bit, do things a little bit quicker and get a little bit of a better result with this one, and the mould that you want to put the scraper into. So this is my clear acrylic mould, and so what we're going to first of all do is measure our mould. So I'm going to bring my mould into here, and all I'm going to do is measure this inside gap. Now I'm working in centimetres, and that's around 6.3, or in inches it's 2.5 inches. So I'll go with the inches just because it's a little bit simpler. And all I'm going to do with my pencil is mark 2.5 inches on this bit of cardboard. 2.5 inches there. I'm going to draw a line through those two marks, and then I'm just going to take my scalpel there and cut myself a little length of cardboard. Now, because I like to be a little bit of a perfectionist, what I'm also going to do is, now I know that those are all straight, and then also just going to put a line in here so I've got an absolutely right angle there. You don't have to do that because we're going to cut this down anyway, but I like to just start with a nice straight edge. So that is our piece of cardboard, and then what you do is you bring your mould in and just check that it is going to go in and you've got plenty of room for it to move through. Okay, so that's working quite nicely there. So you then need to decide on what pattern you're going to make in here. So let's say we just want a very simple kind of curve. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to pop this in so it touches the bottom. I'm just going to put a very quick mark in my deepest section here. Okay, I'm going to give that roughly, let's just square that across. So I know that's the depth of my mould. I'm going to give myself a bit like that. I know that we're going to cut the bottom bit off here, so we're not worrying too much about that. But let's go with something quite simple, quite near the bottom. And I'm just going to go with quite a gentle kind of curve in like that maybe, and up like that. So that's the kind of shape we're going for. Very simple, just very, very easy. Using my scalpel, all I'm going to do is carefully follow that shape. Maybe didn't hit it quite right, but that doesn't matter particularly. Follow those shapes. And there we go. Roughly, we're not being too precious about that. We've got our shape in there. We've got plenty of space here. So that's going to work really nicely. Now, this is the bit that's quite important. I'm going to cut this off here. I'm actually going to give myself a little bit more space than that. Okay. And then, depending on what you want to do with this, maybe I want to do a number of levels. Before I put in my before I do the next step, I'm just going to mark, say, every 1/4 of an inch and put some lines in just to give me a rough idea of depth and stuff like that. So we'll do that one there, move it up, do that one, do one in there. So you can see we've got a little kind of depth markings, so we can, I'll show you how I then put this together so I can scrape it, but that's really handy to do that with. Okay, now the next little step, we want to cover this in some packing tape because this will kind of obviously soften in the batter, and if you want to do multiple scrapes with it, this is actually going to just soften and it's going to be no good for doing multiple scrapes with. So we just want to protect it a little bit. Now the way that I do that is I use packing tape. So I'm going to take my packing tape, and the way that I do it is I fold it over so I've got a bit of a sticky edge. I stick that down onto a surface like that. Hold it, give it a stretch, cut that off, and then I'm just going to fold the other end over, stick that down, okay, and just get that sitting relatively flat. It's not going to sit fully flat, but it'll sit relatively flat. So that's one on there. I need to find the end of my tape again. Okay. Cut another piece, and again I'm going to come into here and I'm going to lay that down onto that current piece that's laid down. Okay, and then just so I've got a flat section in the middle, and that's what I want to use for this bit here. So what I'm going to do is just stick that onto there, and I'm allowing that just to fall into my gap. And what I'm going to do is just take off some of this. I can reuse, so don't worry about wasting it, but I just want to get that kind of on there. Okay. It's been an age since I've done this, so we've got that kind of sitting on this bottom edge, and I know that it's going to have to move, so I'm going to put a little kind of bit in there, and basically I'm just conforming it to those curves. I'm going to put in a little snip here, probably one in here, and then I'm going to fold that up, stick it down like that. Next one coming up and folding into there, and this one again, just going to stick that in, bring it down, and on this side again, hopefully you can see that on this shiny bit at the top there, I'm just slicing into it up to that section, and then just conforming it to that curve. Okay, and sitting that in there and then flipping it over. Now you want to try and avoid what I've just done there, which is to have that sitting down there, and once again come in, just put some little snips into here, and then fold them over so they kind of sit and conform to that shape you're trying to get. That one up there. Just trying to get it all to conform to this shape here. So you can see now that I've got my tape sitting really nice and neatly. You can see that there, how that's sitting on both sides really nice and neatly. And then what I'll do is just take off the edges, so I've got a nice neat edge. Okay, and then the next thing to do, this is the easy bit, we're going to get our packing tape back out again. Just snip a piece of that off, bring in our bit there, and just pop that into here on one side. Okay, and what I do is I lay it flat, I bring it up in my hands and then fold it over to get a really nice neat edge here, and cut off our excess. And there's a little tiny bit at the end there I just want to sneak off. Okay, take our next little bit, And again, we're going on this side, so I'm going to put half on here. Allow that to kind of stick right on. Turn it over, so it's down, fold it up in this way, and then fold it over and down that way. Any excess I've got anywhere, which I can't see, I think we've got that really nicely, is like that. And then our final bit, I take my last bit into the centre here, again up and over, down there, like that, and then I'm just going to very gently pull that bit off there. And that then is a scraper. It's still nice and thin. You've got a nice thin scraper, but it's fully coated in packing tape. The edge here has been specifically covered so that it's not going to bleed too much, and it'll sit into here very nicely and allow you to scrape through and stay really neat and tidy. So that works really nicely there. So once you've got to this point, you then need to be able to adjust the height. And I've put these lines on here for this reason. So what we're going to do is we're going to take two popsicle sticks, something like that, and then on each edge I'm just going to wrap it in a, now this is probably a bit big, but just in a rubber band there. Pop our thing in, align it to a line, second rubber band into here, okay, and then you have a scraper that you can put in, hold it quite tightly and scrape with like that. It'll scrape through nicely. Then when you want to up it, you can put it onto your next line, pop it in, scrape it out, and so on and so forth. So you can always be adjusting that with a nice little scraping tool. So that is how I used to make all my scraping tools, with a bit of cardboard, a couple of popsicle sticks, a couple of elastic bands. So hopefully for those of you that don't have a 3D printer, that'll be a slightly more user-friendly way of making soap scrapers. So if you've enjoyed this video, please give it a like. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps me grow and allows me to make more videos and tutorials for all of you. When you subscribe, don't forget to click the bell icon if you'd like to get notified when a new video is uploaded. And thanks a lot, Soapsters. I'll see you again next time.